What's good? What's good? What's good? All right. So I've been away for a very long time. Very, very long time. I've been doing some other stuff, right? But the ODTV boxing, talking boxing as usual. So let's do it like this, right? I hope you can hear me. I will start with maybe the fight I'm most excited about. Sean Porter and Terrence Crawford. I'm excited about that fight because Sean Porter is a dog. You know what I'm saying? Sean Porter is a dog. That's the best way I could put it. I definitely favor Terrence Crawford to win that fight. No question about that. But here's the thing. Here, in my opinion, here's the thing. Will Sean Porter take that fight? Now, boxing-wise, knowing Sean Porter will take that fight. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Will Al Heyman let Sean Porter take that fight? That's the $1 million question. Will Al Heyman let Sean Porter take that fight? That's the question. And I don't know the answer to it. You know what I'm saying? I truly don't. I don't know that he's going to allow that. You know what I'm saying? My bad. I don't know that Al Heyman is going to allow that. Now, I've said this a bunch of times. And for me to come back today and sound like a broken record, oh well. Al Heyman is fighting for his livelihood. That's what's going on. Al Heyman is fighting for his livelihood. I've said it 1,000 times. This is why there can be no peace with the zone. This is why there could be no joint fights. This is why Tank's not fighting on the app. Because Al Heyman is fighting for his livelihood. So, in my opinion, it's in his best interest. It's in Al Heyman's best interest to have this fight. But again, he's fighting for his livelihood. And right now, since Deontay Wilder went through what he went through, Errol Spence is at the top of PBC. Okay? I don't know if anybody wants to dispute that or if you think you know otherwise or something. Errol Spence is the king of the PBC right now. And I say that to say Terrence Crawford can't beat up Sean Porter. What do I mean by that? It is not a good look for Errol Spence if Terrence Crawford disassembles Sean Porter. Now, mind you, I don't believe that that's necessarily what will happen to Sean Porter. I don't necessarily believe that that's what will happen to Sean Porter, that Terrence Crawford will disassemble him. I do believe Terrence Crawford will beat Sean Porter. I don't have any doubt in my mind about that. I think Terrence Crawford will beat Sean Porter. I'm not going to say he's going to dominate or knock him out or anything like that. Sean Porter don't really get knocked out. But at the same time, if Al is pulling the strings, man, like I believe him to be pulling the strings, Al Heyman's best bet is to, we got 30 days. We got 30 days to make an agreement. So 20-something days now, but that's probably Al Heyman's best bet. Honestly, His best bet is to reach an agreement with Terrence Crawford. But that's what I'm saying. Like the Al Heyman way, I could be wrong. I could be 100% wrong. But to me, the Al Heyman way don't really allow for that. The Al Heyman way don't allow for 50-50. Like 50-50 or no fight is the Al Heyman way. You understand? Now, you already know the rules for purse bid. If it go to purse bid, the champion gets 60, the challenger get 40%. What can you really negotiate? 5%? Because 50-50, I mean, honestly, Bob Arum don't want it to go to purse bid neither, if you ask me, because then the zone is at play. And again, Al Heyman is fighting for his business. But it's hard for me to see a world where Sean Porter gives up a mandatory spot. That's not the Sean Porter I know. Sean Porter's not that type of dude. Like, he's not the type of cat to give up a mandatory spot, if you ask me. I just don't see it. I mean, Al Heyman is a tricky, crafty dude, man. He is a selfish dude, man. He's shown it. He's shown it with his actions. The whole Wilder thing, 100% Al Heyman. That was a fiasco. But I don't think Sean Porter's going to go for that. And even if Sean say, yeah, you know what, Al, you're right. Hopefully Kenny Porter tell him, nah, fuck that. We're going to get our title shot. Because, like, in my mind, Al Heyman was never going to make that fight because of what I just laid out to you. If a world exists where Terrence Crawford dust Sean Porter, just dusting, that's a bad look for Earl Spence because he went the distance with him. Y'all know how triangle theories work. And they'll definitely pull a triangle theory out if he was to dispatch Sean Porter in 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds, seeing how he went the distance with Earl Spence. So now Al is stuck. It's mandated. It has to happen. So now Al is really stuck. So his only option, in my opinion, is to come to negotiation with top-ranked Terrence, Bob Arum, and get the fight made. Because you don't want it to go to purse bid. What's his name? Thriller? Thriller is another player. See, Thriller don't care. Or Triller, whatever it's called. They don't care. They just will put that fight on a card of a UFC card. UFC fight. They don't care. Or a UFC versus a boxer fight. They do not care. They are here to get the paper. That's what they're here to do. They're here, Triller, I believe it's called. They're here to get the paper, yo. That's what they're here to do. The zone is getting the paper. This is why Leonard Ellerby, good old plastic beard, he always says, you know, Tank ain't fighting on no app. You got to peep that stuff because this is war against the zone. The zone is threatening their livelihood. I'm back with the same fucking content. This is the same shit I was saying before. This is why I'm going. I sound like a broken record. So I'm just going to move on from that. I like Terrence Crawford to beat the dog shit out of Sean Porter. And I say that with all respect to Sean Porter. It should be a good fight. I can see it going the distance. That would be my prediction. But that would be 12 rounds of Sean Porter getting outboxed. I don't see any rounds where Sean Porter will outbox Terrence Crawford unless Terrence Crawford gets tired. I just don't see it. Everybody want to talk about Kavaliauskas and all that. Man, champions get up from knockdowns and knock people out. Champions get up from knockdowns and knock people out. That's what champions do. Champions don't say, oh, I got knocked down, woe is me. Champions don't say, I got knocked down, I can't win this fight, I will lose. Champions get knocked down, get back up, and they knock people out. Which leads me to the next thing I'm going to talk about. Actually, I'm going to save that for last. We're going to talk about Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury at the very end. I'm not going to spend too much time with too many different people today. I'm just going to talk about some of the fights and the people who have my interest And I'll badmouth a couple people too because they on some bullshit. Let's get into that. Teofimo Lopez, you're getting it. You've been in dangerous waters. You've been into dangerous waters. But now you're starting to look like, I can't even do it like that. You're a good fighter. But at the end of the day, Teofimo Lopez, you're fake. I like Teofimo Lopez. I went to bat for Teofimo Lopez. I bet on Teofimo Lopez versus Lomachenko. I picked him to win that fight. But if you're going to sit here and you're going to tell the people that the WBC franchise title makes you undisputed, you're fake. It's as simple as that. You're fake. It's sad that you're like that. It's sad that you're that way. It really is. It's terrible. It's awful that Devin Haney is becoming the lightweight bully. I mean, bully. Man, so let me get this right. Because this ain't really about Teofimo Lopez. It's about the other guy I like, Devin Haney. Devin Haney, even if he can't beat Teofimo Lopez, even if he can't beat Lomachenko, even if Ryan Garcia had his best day ever, guess what? They're all scared of him. And then they want to get the lighter guy, Tank Davis, to come up and handle their dirty work. See, Devin got that even if he don't have it in him, he paid attention to Joshua and he moved in the same way. He's stalking all the giants. But Teofimo looks the worst right now. You know what I'm saying? Teofimo looks horrible because Teofimo, you're not even... You told people you're undisputed and you tried to make Devin Haney's belt irrelevant. Cause you got the new belt. Like, I don't get this with boxing. I just don't understand why people feel the need to bullshit the fans. The true boxing fans don't believe you. They know better. The true boxing fans know that the WBC franchise title is poppycock, it's fluff, it's courtesy extended by the WBC to cash cows or potential cash cows. They gave it to Canelo. They offered it to, they gave it to Lomachenko and they offered it to Wilder. This is what I'm saying. It's like if you're the champion, you can lose your belt, vacate your belt, be sick or injured in a training camp, unable to perform, and you can still be a champion in the WBC eyes, but not in any other sanctioning body. There is no WBO franchise belt. There is no IBF franchise belt. There is no WBO or WBA franchise belt. So the WBC continues to add salt in the game, like they appeasing the fighters, but you're not really appeasing the fighters. You're trying to create more champions so you can get more bags. It's not even like Suleiman needs to be fired. Mauricio Suleiman should be fired. But Teofimo Lopez, I always call it straight. You're a heck of a young fighter. You are an amazing athlete. You got power. You got skills. You got a chin. You got decent feet. Teofimo Lopez he checks 8 out of 10 boxes. But you don't have any heart. You don't have any respect for your craft. You made people think you really was the real deal because, I'm about to fight Loma. But that's a Wilder move. You trying to use Loma to legitimize you. But this is why it can't be done. Even the casuals should see it because Lomachenko vacated the title because he ain't want to fight the boy neither. He don't want to fight Devin Haney either. So he said, nope, I don't want my belt. I'm gonna vacate my belt. I just give it up. And what did Suleiman do? Oh, we will elevate Lomachenko to WBC franchise champion. It's madness, man. This is why I can't make a video all the time. I can't stand this stuff. This is why boxing failed for 10 years straight during the Klitschko, well, maybe not failed, but declined for 10 years straight during the Klitschko era. This is why. Because the biggest fighters choose not to fight the biggest fighters. It's not the promoter. See, what Al Heyman is going to do, what Bob Arum is going to do, they're going to tell you, if you go get that check, don't come back to me if you lose. That's the only threat they can make, unless you're under contract. To my knowledge, the next Terrence Crawford fight is his last fight. So after that, he's not under contract. Wilder signs one-fight contracts. Joshua signs long-term deals. Canelo was signing long-term deals. Now Canelo is doing like one-fight contracts. There's different strokes for different folks. Dillian Whyte does one-fight contracts. Different strokes for different folks. But Teofimo Lopez, you should be ashamed of yourself. What's the point of being unified and calling yourself? So I guess Anthony Joshua is undisputed. If that's how we doing things. He got a secondary belt too. He got two of them in my mind, in my memory serves me correctly. He either got 4 or 5 belts total. 4. He got one secondary belt, like IBA or some shit nobody cares about. It's not real. It doesn't count towards undisputed. But Teofimo Lopez, your belt doesn't count towards undisputed either. It's a franchise champion. And Mauricio Suleiman, don't you look like Boo Boo the fucking fool? Because you crowned Lomachenko franchise champion, then he got his ass whooped. You gave him the franchise belt and then he lost it. So what you did was put another belt into the whole mix that didn't need to be there. So there's a WBC franchise champion and a WBC regular champion? For what? It's the same shit with the WBO super and the WBA regular. What's the point of that shit? So now I got to get into something that because I'm done with that. I'm just done with it. I got to get into something that I don't really understand myself, but I think I understand it, and I'll explain it the same way I explained it before. Canelo Alvarez. I'm hearing rumors that Caleb Plant ran from Canelo Alvarez. PBC fighter. Who's surprised? Is Caleb Plant even a PBC fighter anymore, or is he a free agent? No, he's PBC. Caleb Plant is PBC. Anyway, I don't know the specifics of what happened, why it broke down. I really don't care, because there's 2 ways I look at this Canelo Alvarez thing. I'm with y'all. Canelo don't fight the people I want him to fight. He does not. Okay? Canelo Alvarez does not fight all the people I want him to fight. But in retrospect, at the same time, Canelo never fights somebody and I'll be like, oh, this bum ass dude. It almost never happens. The names that Canelo throws out there, Dimitri Bivol, they talk about Benavidez, they talk about Andrade, they talk about Charlo, they talk about GGG for a 3rd time. He was just in talks with Caleb Plant. Canelo fights champions after champions after champions. So you can't, so it's hard to like, I'm with y'all. He don't fight Andrade. He don't unify every single division in which he has a belt in. I want him to too. But is that a realistic expectation? Is that a realistic expectation for him to go 3 different weight classes and fight 4 champions in each weight class? When we know people going to price themselves out. All right, let me say that real quick before I go into that. That's the rumor I heard, that Canelo wanted a $40 million guarantee. What, y'all thought it was going to be cheap? PBC? What, y'all thought it was going to be cheap? Fox? It's Canelo. That's just, use your mind. I mean, y'all should have knew it wasn't going to be cheap. But again, to all the PBC lovers, To all the Fox fight lovers, Canelo can get what he wants from DAZN, but he can't get it from PBC. So when y'all fix your mouth to say that PBC take care of their fighters better than DAZN, we know it's a lie. See, you thought he was going to price himself out of a big deal, then go to a smaller deal? He don't care nothing about the belts. That's obvious, people. It's not about the belts for him. As long as he's beating up champions and getting top dollar for it, that's the legacy he's sitting on right now. I do want him to fight Boo Boo Andrade. I do want him to fight Jermall Charlo. Shit, he can fight Jermell Charlo too. But if you fight Jermell Charlo, that's just low-hanging fruit to me. Jermell Charlo needs to run that back with Castano ASAP. That's your next fight, Charlo. Run it back because that was, whoo, boy. But staying with Canelo Alvarez, it's hard for me to criticize Canelo. I like Canelo. And understand something. Most of these fighters we talk about, when I talk about the Teofimo Lopez's and the Tank Davises, these are all talented fighters. I'm not doubting, saying I like this guy because he's talented and that guy's not. 9 times out of 10, that's not my beef. It's either how you move or what you're not willing to do. Those are the things that irk me. Those are the things that rub me the wrong way. You have to move like the way you talk to these dudes, the way they talk to each other in an interview or when they see each other at an event or when they send their little pop shots on the YouTube channels. You gotta keep that energy, bro. You gotta keep that same energy when it comes time to fight these people. Ryan Garcia. You know what I'm saying? Canelo, I don't feel like he gives out no energy. Tank Davis, you got to keep that same energy. Teofimo Lopez, keep that same energy. You know what I'm saying? Deontay Wilder, if Dillian Whyte is a peasant and you'll knock Joshua out, keep that same energy. That's how that works. That's how that works. Like how you lost that energy with Tyson Fury. But like I said, I'm going to get to that. Canelo Alvarez, like I said, it's hard. It's real hard for me to criticize how he moves because he loses a Caleb Plant fight. If he gets a Dimitri Bivol fight, no, it's not undisputed, but it's still Dimitri Bivol. That's like Terrence Crawford. He didn't get the fight Earl Spence for all the marbles. He's not getting that. He's not getting that. But Sean Porter, if he fights Sean Porter, you can't really be upset with Bud. Earl went on to get a bigger bag. Earl went on to Manny. If Terrence could go on to Manny, if the roles were reversed, Terrence would do the same exact thing. And I'm pro Terrence Crawford 100%. I like Terrence Crawford to beat all of them. Spence, Thurman, Porter, Pacquiao, Uysk, Garcia, and the other Garcia. I like Terrence to whoop them all. But with Canelo, I really can't criticize a dude who don't make the fights we want to see, but make fights as big. I don't know what I'm supposed to say about that guy. If we want Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, right? But he fight Oscar De La Hoya, can you bitch? Can you really complain? Is there really a reason Oscar De La Hoya, Manny Pacquiao, you might have your favorite or which one you're partial to, but you can't sneeze on Oscar because you want to see him fight Manny Pacquiao. It doesn't work like that. If Terrence fights Sean Porter, that's a legitimate name. That's one of the big PBC welterweights that we were talking about him fighting. And it's the same thing with Canelo Alvarez. He loses the Caleb Plant fight. He seems to have no interest in Demetrius Andrade. And the built-in excuse is Andrade don't make no money. Charlo, I don't know what the excuse is. I don't know what type of money Charlo, what type of revenue he generates, but I'm with y'all. I would like to see him fight Charlo, GGG, Andrade, Caleb Plant, Benavidez. But I would like to see him fight Dimitri Bivol too. And you got to remember, these are weight classes Canelo is stepping up to. Stop trying to take credit from Canelo. You can call a spade and say Canelo is not fighting the people you want to see him fight, because that's true. Same here. But you can't say, oh, he fighting this bum ass dude. Nah, that ain't the case. That's just not the case with Canelo Alvarez. What else? Joshua Usyk. Y'all already know. I don't think that Usyk is going to fare well in that fight. Again, he hasn't really looked great in any of his heavyweight fights, in my opinion. Fact remains, it doesn't matter what day he fights Joshua, he'll be a better boxer than Joshua. He'll be a better boxer. That's a guarantee. He'll technically box better and more sound than Anthony Joshua. That's a fact. But when you're talking about Whyte and Wilder and Joshua and guys who punch like that, is Usyk going to eat those Jones for 12 rounds? Is he going to be able to evade and take what's thrown for 12 rounds? I think that depends on what Anthony Joshua comes in. But I expect Joshua to be his best self. He looked good against Pulev. And if Usyk hits Joshua and can't hurt Joshua at all, he has to get on his bike, or else he's going to get himself hurt. If he can't even make Joshua feel it, and some people say Joshua is chinny. Some people say that. Some people say Joshua is chinny. I mean, he's been down a few times. He's not invincible. We know this for a fact. So I would say Joshua in 9, 10. I think whether Usyk gets in trouble or whether it's part of the game plan, Usyk will keep his distance to some degree, especially early on in the fight. But like I said, Joshua's going to walk him down. He's going to walk him down, and Usyk is going to get them shots, man. Whoever, Rob McCracken is coaching in the Olympics, then whoever's in there with Joshua, you got to tell him to work the body. Downstairs to upstairs. That's the way the elevator works. Downstairs to upstairs. That's how it has to be. Light guys like that, you always beat on their ribs. You always give them those midsection shots. Make them put their guard down. But yeah, anyway, I'm not going to spend much time on that. I see Joshua winning that fight 9, 10 rounds max. You know, if it goes the distance, Usyk would have to box his best fight he's ever fought. But he would have to stay away. It would have to be some Floyd Mayweather stuff. He would have to just be tagging Joshua and not getting hit. That's the only way I see Usyk having even a chance, an inkling of winning that fight. That's the only, in my opinion. I don't see any other way Usyk can even be in that fight, honestly. You know, he's not going to mix with Joshua because he's landing cleaner shots or more shots. He's going to go 12. Now, he's not going to go 12 rounds mixing with Anthony Joshua. I don't care who you are. You're just not. So that won't even be the game plan. But like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Usyk, I don't give him much of a chance. I see Joshua with the knockout. This is 3 people involved in this because I would like to say from the rip, Dillian Whyte, I'm glad he's suing. Again, back full circle to the WBC. That's what an interim champion is, y'all. Him being knocked out by Alexander Povetkin does not mean that Dillian Whyte is not the interim champion. Because what y'all said when Povetkin dropped Whyte was that Povetkin is the new interim champion. So if you can beat somebody and take their silver title, if that's possible, then how is Dillian Whyte not the interim champion? Okay, I've addressed that as simple as I can address it. The rule states that the interim champion is supposed to fill in for the real champion, the normal champion, the regular champion, for whatever reason, if he cannot perform his duties as champion. So why didn't Wilder just fight Dillian Whyte? We all know that we should have just got that. So again, for you Wilder fans, who want to talk so much about Tyson Fury. He's a cheater because he's a gypsy. He's a cheater because his hands was in the wrong place. He had cement in his gloves. He spiked the water. All this cool stuff. Wilder wasn't right. All these things was going on in his life. Blase, 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 blip. How come y'all wasn't banging on the door for Wilder to get a title fight with the person that y'all have always said, and he himself has said he will knock out no problem? Wilder could be champion today. I don't get it. Deontay Wilder could be champion today if the Wilder fans actually came to Wilder's defense on a real joint, on a real matter, on something that was actually tangible. They didn't come though. They were nowhere to be found. They were talking about Tyson Fury having COVID or not having COVID. Again, Deontay Wilder, what was your antennas? Dillian Whyte told you he should be fighting you. Dillian Whyte said, yo, I'll fight Wilder for the title. With the short training camp, Wilder been putting in all that work with Malik Scott. Everybody who ever sees this video will believe 1,000% unequivocally that Tyson Fury is a better fighter than Dillian Whyte, myself included. Why not take it that way and make Tyson Fury come get the belt back from you? Then I walk in the crib. I couldn't even take my shower yet. Shelly Finkel said he's surprised they didn't offer step-aside money. Shelly Finkel, Deontay Wilder's manager, said he's surprised Fury and his team didn't offer step-aside money. You want me to tell you something? Those two tall buffoons deserve each other. Fury doesn't have COVID. No, we know that. Fury don't got no damn COVID. We all know that. But at the same time, I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. Like you can't be serious. You can't be serious. Shelly Finkel made that comment. Step aside money. Listen, man. I'm here for the fight. I don't think I'm still in the same position. I don't care how much you train. If Fury's right, and that's probably why the fight was canceled, because Fury wasn't right. That's why the fight was canceled. Tyson Fury wasn't right. He was probably out of shape, having too much fun. So, I mean, the COVID thing was some bullshit. Again, this is why I'm saying what I'm saying about Dillian Whyte. Because if Tyson Fury don't have COVID and he can say that to postpone a fight, and Wilder and them ain't got much to say about it, they okay with the postponement, obviously. They're not screaming from the mountaintops, get me the interim champion. I don't have to wait for you. The judge said XYZ. None of that. Just going along with it. Now, I'm sure by now everybody has heard the rumors. They say it's because the fight wasn't selling. That's what they say. Now, with Deontay Wilder, I never know what's going on. I never know what's going on. Like he gets like little outs from the WBC. The arbitrator grants him a fight, a third fight. Says Fury has to honor the contract. Fury pulls out with some COVID shit. Then he get caught A, B, C here and there and everywhere in between. He's not stripped. Dillian Whyte doesn't have to take his place. Like, I don't know. I truly don't know what's going on with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. I honestly don't. I couldn't tell you what's going on because at the end of the day, why is Wilder waiting? Why did Wilder go for that? One of the Wilder fans, tell me in the comments section, why did Deontay Wilder go for that? Why did Deontay Wilder allow Tyson Fury to lie, get caught, and mum's the word? I don't get it. I don't get it. I truly don't get it. Like, and that's just me being 100% honest. I don't understand none of it. I mean, I bet on Tyson Fury. I got a couple Tyson Fury bets out there, but those bets were supposed to be handled the other day. Now, they're not because of Tyson Fury. I'm not blaming Wilder for anything except for keeping his mouth shut. He should have approached this guy, man. He should have approached the WBC. You just was in court to get your third fight. Why are you okay with the fight being postponed? Why are you not saying nothing? Maybe because Wilder would prefer more time too. Maybe both fighters wanted more time, and the promoters who are promoting the fight saw the ticket sales and they pushed it back. Maybe it's all the above, A, B, C, and D. Maybe it's all of them. I don't know, but I just don't understand how this happens with no official announcements by Mauricio Suleiman about what's going on. Why does Dillian Whyte have to sue again? Because I'm going to tell y'all something. Whether you get this or not, whether you understand this little tidbit or not, Dillian Whyte wouldn't be suing if his mandatory status was not reinstated after he beat Povetkin. Go back and watch the tapes. He was Don't say that you lost your mandatory status. See, this is people talking. This is the internet talking. This is YouTube talking about he lost his mandatory status when Povetkin beat him. So how was Povetkin interim? So you're saying Povetkin beat Whyte, took his mandatory status, right? In which Whyte had a rematch clause. Whyte then immediately beat Povetkin. And then they just said nobody's mandatory? Or they awarded somebody who didn't fight Whyte or Povetkin as mandatory, as number one, as interim, as silver? That's not what happened. Whyte got his status back. So we know why Dillian Whyte is suing. We see what happened, and we see the actions that he's choosing to take about what happened. Now, the million-dollar question is, why is Wilder so quiet? Why is Wilder not saying anything? Why is Wilder not saying anything? Again, he's doing it again. You should have wanted to fight Dillian Whyte, and you know you should have. You said he was easy work. You called him a peasant. Your fans said he was easy work, and they called him a bum. If Dillian Whyte can take Tyson Fury's spot because he was the interim champion, then Wilder should have been screaming from the mountaintops, man. And I'm disappointed in the Wildettes because y'all wasn't saying nothing. It takes me to come back to YouTube to start talking about this stuff. That's how far we fall from grace that quick. Come on, man. Tyson Fury is foul. What he did was foul. He don't have COVID. I'm with you. But unless Wilder want more time, unless it come from the higher ups, Al Heyman, that the fight wasn't selling, I don't see why Wilder's quiet. I don't see why a few days after y'all was supposed to fight, not the day before, not the day of the fight, but a few days after y'all was supposed to fight, Shelly Finkel was talking about he's surprised that Team Fury didn't send any step-aside money. Now that's strange. Now that's strange. So is that the third? Is that the next way to look at it? Wilder or Team Wilder sued Tyson Fury for step-aside money? Is that how we should look at it? But this is what happens when you do a bunch of foolishness and then mum is the word. This is exactly what happens. You give these people on the internet all the damn fuel they need to go and fire off a million things and spit it to their fans and spit it to the public and to the casuals like it's truth. It's not truth. We don't know what's going on. Only thing we know is based off of COVID protocols. If Tyson Fury got COVID, he's a piece of garbage because he was around a bunch of people for a man who supposedly had COVID. That's COVID. That's what we know. That makes him trash if he has COVID. So now we're all of the same like mind that he doesn't have COVID. So if he doesn't have COVID, why is Wilder quiet? Why is Wilder's manager, Shelly Finkel, talking about step beside money? Why he not talking about COVID and the pushback date and how Team Fury is trying to postpone the fight? At least boost your fighter up. Tell Wilder that they're scared. Go on the camera and say they're scared. But when you get in front of a camera, you choose to talk about step beside money. You make me think that's why you sued him. That's how I'm starting to feel. I'm starting to feel like you sued him to get paid because you saw he was about to go get the bank. And if that's the case, Wilder, you even worse than I thought because you could have got the bank too. You had a chance to fight that man. So let me get this right. On the outside, looking in, the way the optics look, you sued Tyson Fury for a third fight after you got beat from pillar to post and lost your title. Let's just look at that. You lose. Fury don't want to oblige the contract because some date or something passed and he wasn't trying to take COVID into consideration. You go to a judge, arbitrator, whatever. The arbitrator rules in your favor. You now have a date for a third fight. 2 weeks before that third fight, and you want me to tell you, I never heard of what network it was going to be on. I'm just saying that. Just side note. 2 weeks before the fight, and I had no clue what network it was. I didn't see any promotion on Fox, on ESPN, on DAZN, on Showtime. I didn't hear anything about what network that fight was going to be on. I'm just putting that out there. But moving forward, 2 weeks before a fight come, Fury got COVID. Everybody in the training camp got COVID. Joseph Parker's name was said for a fact. But Joseph Parker, we saw out at an event. I believe it might have been Conor McGregor. What's his name? Dustin Poirier. I don't watch UFC. Excuse me. I do believe that's the guy's name, though. I believe Joseph Parker was at that fight. So Joseph Parker is at an event with tens of thousands of people. Tyson Fury then goes to an event as well. It might have been a boxing match. It might have been, I don't know. Or maybe Fury was at the UFC and Parker was at something else. Anyway, they're both out. They're both out and about. So then Fury got COVID, but he's out and about. But he pulled out of the fight. Dillian Whyte is screaming at the top of his lungs, I'll replace him. I'll replace him. I'll replace him. Wilder doesn't take Dillian Whyte up on that offer. They don't say anything about it. They don't address it. Mauricio Suleiman, the head of the WBC, he doesn't say anything about it. He doesn't address it. Instead, they moved the fight to October. And then a few days after the day of the fight, Wilder's manager is saying that he's surprised Team Fury didn't offer step-aside money. You can't make this shit up. You can't make it up. You cannot make this up, people. Tyson Fury is not squeaky clean. Deontay Wilder is not squeaky clean. But two people who play these type of games, and I'm giving Wilder the benefit of doubt because of Fury's track record. I'm fair. I've always taken things from Wilder because of his track record and lack thereof. I'm taking this. I'm doing the same thing with Fury. This might be 100% Tyson Fury's cooking. He might have done this by himself, independently, without ESPN's help, without Wilder's help, without Al Heyman's help. But Wilder don't seem too broke up about it. That's what I'll say. Wilder don't seem too broke up about it. He's not kicking and screaming. He didn't demand that the WBC let him fight Dillian Whyte so he could get Sophia back, and then he'll handle Tyson Fury once he get over his COVID situation. The WBC they the ones who dictate who the champion is and who the champion's not. They're the ones who dictate if they're going to strip Tyson Fury or not. He don't dictate that. So him saying he had COVID on the surface, to me, if Mauricio Sulaiman wasn't the crook and the snake that he is, Mauricio Sulaiman would have had Dillian Whyte in there. But he didn't have Dillian Whyte in there. Dillian Whyte, yet again, has to sue. He has to go to the courts to get his. And I'm not going to be on here champion for Dillian Whyte. That's not what I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit here and make it seem like somebody owes Dillian Whyte anything. But what I'm saying is the rules is clear. If the champion can't perform for whatever reason, the interim champion is supposed to step in. So Dillian Whyte was supposed to fight Deontay Wilder on Saturday. Period, point blank, end of story. That's what was supposed to happen. And Wilder fans, should have fought for that. Wilder should have fought for that. Because Wilder has told us so many times Dillian Whyte is garbage. He's told us that so many times. Let me think. I don't feel like talking about Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. Who knows? Two clowns. Who knows which one? And like I said, I bet on Tyson Fury. He's still a clown. He's never defended his title. Who has 30-something fights and two-time champion and you've never defended your title? How dare you, Tyson Fury? Of all fighters, after what you did last time you won the belt, how dare you get the belt and do that again for any reason? If you had COVID, cool. Even if you lied and you didn't have COVID, why'd you have to come outside, bro? You're a clown. Only a clown would do that. Only a clown cares so little about the sport, the fans, the belt, that they would do that. And Mauricio Sulaiman, he not a snake. He let him. If you're a Wilder fan and you think Tyson Fury cheated in the first two fights, Mauricio Sulaiman let him. He's the one who created franchise champion. That's his organization that did that, WBC. So again, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, like I said, they deserve each other. They truly deserve each other. Because at the end of the day, they both do fool shit. And then when it comes out in a wash, this is what we got to deal with as the fans. And this is why I get frustrated with the sport, because it's not going to get no better. Boxing is not going to get no better. It's not. Because it's all about money till you're scared of somebody. That's what selling a belt is. Selling a belt is when you don't think you can win and you still take the fight. I respect that more than talking and not doing. Ryan Garcia style. Teofimo Lopez style. I respect one more than the other, man. And at the end of the day, it's just sad that boxing fans got to deal with it. Like we got to deal with this. It's sad. Honestly, it's nothing no fans can do about it. Doesn't matter how much you spend for a pay-per-view. It's not the business model. The business model is not for the best to fight the best. But there is a fail-safe. There is a backup plan. There is a way that the best can fight the best. when you're either out of contract or you set up your contracts to where you're not locked in for 5 and 6 fights. But the fighter ultimately can take his career into his own hands. Unless he's under some type of binding contract that would hurt him if he broke it. If he went off and fought a big wig, he would have to give up crazy bread. Like, other than that, nah. I just don't understand it. I'll never understand it. This is why I stopped watching boxing for almost 10 years. I mean, I might watch 3 fights over the span of 10 years because boxing is fucking horrible. The players put so much stock into everything not boxing. And that stuff does matter. It is important. It does help your brand. But you don't put your brand ahead of your legacy. Because at the end of the day, when you go out of business, who the fuck talks about Circuit City? Nobody talks about Circuit City. Nobody talks about Toys R Us. When something goes out of business, it is what it is. When your brand dies, your brand dies. But your legacy, if you build it correctly, can live forever. And these dudes say names like Ali, and they say names like Tyson, and they say names like George Foreman and Sonny Liston and Ray Robinson and Ray Leonard and all these great fighters, man. Marvin Hagler, they talk about these guys and they compare themselves to these guys and they say their style is like these guys, but they don't move like them. And that's why the boxers of the past, who some are dead and gone, you know what I mean? RIP, but y'all will never hold a candle to these guys because y'all just don't move right. It's sad that such talented young athletes, they're their own worst critics. They don't believe in themselves in certain situations. And it's obvious, it's evident. These things would not only bolster your legacy, these things will make you big bags of money. In a lot of y'all cases, the type of fights that the fans want y'all to be in, y'all would get a bigger bag of money than you've ever got. And most boxers, with most boxers, that is the case. You would get a bag bigger than you've ever got if you did what you were supposed to do. But that's not what they do. They try to sidestep and get enough casuals to believe that they are this person until they can make big money, man. Sad that that's where we at. I got 8 minutes left. 7 minutes. Let's see. What else? What else is out there? I forgot who they said Andy Ruiz was supposed to fight. I forgot who it was Andy Ruiz was supposed to fight. It wasn't Luis Ortiz. It was somebody else. But I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing the Luis Ortiz Andy Ruiz fight. But Sean Porter and Terrence Crawford is the one I want right now. Manny Pacquiao, Earl Spence. I mean, I'm with everybody else. I favor Spence. I don't think that Pacquiao can beat Spence. Only thing I'm going to say about that is I favor Spence to win the fight. I wouldn't be surprised if it was by stoppage, even though Manny really don't get stopped. Like, that's not his MO. But I think Earl's the right person to do it, and Manny's at the age that Earl can do it, and it's possible. If it goes the distance, that's a different fight. That could be a different outcome. It all depends. If that hopped up Manny Pacquiao that fought Keith Thurman shows up, Earl Spence could be in trouble. I just hope when it's over, Earl does what he's supposed to do and he fights Terrence. I hope that Terrence gets the Porter fight. What's up with Keith Thurman? And this is what I said a long time about Keith Thurman. Where are you going to go when you come back? Where can you go? If Terrence fights Sean, You already beat Danny up. Errol's supposed to be fighting Manny. Where's Keith Thurman gonna go? He gonna fight Mikey Garcia? He gonna fight Ugas? Again, I said it a long time ago. When you don't have a belt and you got a big name, it's just sad when you don't go after the people who have belts. Now, none of y'all except Keith can go after Earl. That's probably what Keith is waiting on. That, you know what? See that the light bulb just went off, Uncle Fester style. Keith Thurman is probably waiting on Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao. He'll probably fight a nobody in the meantime, sooner than later. And then when Errol Spence, like I said, he hasn't fought Keith Thurman. He's not fighting Terrence Crawford. I don't see it. I don't see Al Heyman letting Terrence Crawford anywhere near him. We already heard the tape. Oh, he ain't mentioned my name? No, he didn't mention your name. If that ain't proof, I don't know what is. Who else? Tank Davis. Gonna keep using the money excuse. I make more money than you, therefore I don't have to fight you. In Tank's defense, he's not in your weight class. You don't have to fight none of you lightweights. So, who else? Who else have I been watching lately? I've been impressed with. Loma fought somebody I didn't care about. Tank Davis and Barrios, I mean, he get credit for knocking out the bigger fighter, accomplished fighter, and all that stuff, but Barrios ain't that guy. We're not going to sit there and make it like he is because we like Tank. We're not going to do that. Who else? I was sad to hear that Clarissa Shields and what's her name? Savannah Marshall. I think that's the girl's name. Ain't nothing going on there. Or was it Hannah Gabriels? I think it was Savannah Marshall. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm in and out. As you can see, I'm doing other things. But I'm going to come back to this. We're going to do some more videos. I'm going to try to get Delusional Wilder fans to do videos. But I'll be beating them down too bad, you know? They don't want to do videos with me anymore. I'm going to tell y'all, I don't watch UFC and I don't watch UFC fighters, but the bickering back and forth between Shannon Briggs and Quentin Rampage Jackson, I might watch that fight. I haven't watched any of the celebrity fights. I didn't watch Floyd Mayweather, Logan Paul. I didn't watch Mike Tyson and Roy Jones. I didn't watch none of that stuff. Like, I saw it after it happened, but I didn't tune in live for any of it. But the Shannon Briggs, Quentin Rampage Jackson thing is funny to me. I like it. They talk real funny to each other. But yeah, here I go talking about a UFC fighter, so I must be tapped out. 2 minutes left. What else? No, I don't got nothing. I don't have anything nice to say about Ryan Garcia, so I'm not going to say anything at all. Don't have much to say about Tank Davis, Teofimo. Charlo already told him, get that rematch. You need it, pimp. That was almost Tony Harrison part 2. That was almost Tony Harrison deja vu, cuz I would like to see Andrade in a big fight. I would love to see him fight Charlo, Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant might be a little bit too big for him, but definitely Charlo. I think he can beat either one. I would love to see him fight GGG. That's a tough mountain for him to climb because he gets sloppy at times. He's not ready for Canelo. I mean, he wants to fight, and I'm not mad if Canelo gives him the fight, but he's not ready for Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez makes short work of Demetrius Andrade. That's my opinion. And I like Google Andrade. I like him a lot. I already said AJ Usyk. Dillian Whyte suiting people. Get your title shot. Joe Joyce Joe Joyce, he had a good showing. Who did Joe Joyce knock out? I just watched it the other day. I can't remember. Joe Joyce is the mandatory now for whoever wins. I believe out of Joshua and Uysk. I believe Joe Joyce is the mandatory for that. But that's what it was. That's what it was. Joe Joyce, Luis Ortiz. I'm all for that. I think it was Luis Ortiz, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Luis Ortiz. I mean, I like Joe Joyce in that fight. Joe Joyce is the younger guy. And I'll be honest. Joe Joyce doesn't swing. Like, his swing is not fast, but when he connects, you can tell by the other person that he put some steam on them joints, yo. You can definitely tell. Joe Joyce definitely put some steam on them joints. But yeah, man, I would love to see that fight as well. Yeah, stay up. I'm trying to do one of these at least every other day or something like that, or every time something I care about comes. I can't just talk about all boxing. That's not me. I'm sorry. If it ain't big fights, if it ain't real fighters, if it ain't people who got a chance in the division, if it ain't somebody who's made a name for themselves, I mean, we ain't talking legacy fights. What is we talking about? I don't care about warm-ups or tune-ups. I'm not really a fan of too many fighters. Because of Teofimo Lopez and Canelo Alvarez, unfortunately, I'm down to two. There's two people who I'm a fan of. Three. I'm sorry. Three. As of right now today, there's three people who I'm a fan of. Bud Crawford, Anthony Joshua, and Devin Haney. Yes, right. Teofimo's gone. Devin Haney's out. That doesn't change the fact that Canelo is still the best. Those are two different conversations. Who I like the most and who are the best are two different conversations. Canelo Alvarez is the best. He was one of my guys, but the way he's moving is kind of suspect. So, oh yeah, no more pictures and audio. That shit is grueling. This is the format now, man. This is what it is, man. So, if y'all see the light on, come in, talk about boxing a little bit. As the topics unroll, I got a little thing that saves the files for me now. So I get to just read a couple articles and then I can talk about that stuff if it so suits me, if I like it, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, that's it, man. I said what I had to say. I said my piece. I talked about those who I think should be doing better than they're doing. And let's hope something changes. Let's get the big fights. Let's get the best fight and the best, like boxing is supposed to be. And maybe the sport wouldn't be steadily declining and corporations wouldn't be pulling out of the boxing business, taking crucial and necessary funding away from the sport that so many people love. That's about it, man. Brock Brown, ODTV. We talk boxing. Peace. I'm out.